Hey everybody, Sea Dog here. So first time to the channel, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Getting ready. Ooh, I don't even think the door's unlocked, to be honest with you. So I've decided. Well, here's my thought process. First, I decided that I was going to have a buddy of mine do the install of the headers. And the reason I decided that was because the differential install that I had to do. But, then I thought, man, you know what? This channel's about doing it yourself. This channel's about, normal guy like me just wrenching on it. I mean, clearly, I got a manual ass garage, so I'm gonna do some manual ass labor. So there she is. Now, before the install, let's go on and get a cold start. Now, I'm gonna guess that this install is gonna take me those days, but just because I'm working on it on the side while I do other things, But here we go. All right, so I'm gonna wrench it myself, and this is the cold start before the header install. Now I still got a check engine light that's coming on. That's why I didn't do the remote start, because I still got a check engine light, and it's the stupid active exhaust actuator, or whatever you want to call it. Now to that cold start. Are you ready? So I'm gonna let you hear what my neighbors hear in the morning. Oh, I don't want it to get too hot. Alright, well, here we go. Basically, up in the air, use my jack stands, and it's a little dirty today. This is the F-150 I picked up a couple weeks ago. Whole front bumper here had to be replaced, well, except for the chrome part. But the upper part was basically gone. The bottom part was all trashed. It had some weird Harley Davidson stickers on it. Underneath the F-150 had a Harley Davidson sticker. Oh, and the back here had a Harley Davidson sticker. So, but this is basically 2001 F-150. It has got a little bit of rust, rocker panels, and all that fun stuff, but it is the 2001, and I am in Michigan, so can't expect much. But let me know what you guys think about that, if you want to see some content on that on the channel or not. I don't know. I didn't think it'd be too exciting for an 01, but hey, there's some diehard F-150s peoples out there, so let me know. Alright, so back to this. Getting ready for the header install. I am going to jack it up and use jack stands in the front. I just basically raised it up enough so I can get those under there. But I think I'm just going to jack up the front. I'm going to leave the back down. you know. Of course, I got some wheel chucks back here. See them? So, you know, clearly, if this big old boss fell down on me, I'd be through. So we don't want it to roll. Once we do get it in place, this is a flat surface. This is not in the garage. I decided to do it out of the garage because I thought I'd have better lighting. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to have to pull my lights out here. But all right. I'm not going to crawl under there and show you guys. Well, I guess, you know, obviously first step is pop this puppy off. And then you guys know where the headers go, right? So they basically go right down in here. There we go. So, right down in there. Man, sucker was only running 10 minutes. It's hot as hell. All right. Alright, so here's what we got. It's supposed to be 93 degrees today, so I'm sweating my balls off. But basically, like I said, I was going to use jack stands. So I put the jack stands under there as high as they would go. And then I also kept the 6,000 pound jack in place, just so it was snug. So I didn't lift it up off the jack stands. Must have been a motorcycle going by. So I didn't lift it off the jack stands. I just basically got it to where, or 12 ton, excuse me, 12 ton. I just basically got it to where it was making contact with the frame and holding that in place as well. So that's just a little extra. Probably not necessary, probably overkill, but again, if this big old puppy fell on me, I'd be a dead man. So, all right. Next, removal. All right, so step one. Decide not to do this in 90-degree weather, but a little late. We got it jacked up, so what the heck. So first things first is disconnect the battery. So looks like I watched a video where the guy didn't disconnect his battery, and I think he hit the starter or something like that, and it sparked. So smart enough to know that I can learn from people's mistakes. So first things first, disconnect. My battery's in there somewhere underneath my golf clubs, so let me move the TaylorMades. Okay, well, we might as well start off pro tip number 1. Alright, so as you can see, I'm loosening the battery. We'll just, okay, gotta go a little more. Of course, this is the negative side. Generally, that's what most people do, is they unhook the negative side. There we go, that's a little better. There we go. Okay, for starters, what you generally want to do is just throw something down, like a little towel or something, and then you can just throw that back in place, right? But I also take it a little step further, and I take another rag and I put it right here. And the reason I do that is just in case you accidentally shut the trunk. Then you're not climbing through to try to pull this little lever right here and unhook it. So once you've pulled the battery, you cannot unlock the vehicle or pop the trunk using the remote. So you're basically SOL. So I always throw that in place, then that way, you know, hey, if it goes down, it still won't shut. So if I forget and I shut it, it's not a big deal. Also, make sure your doors are unlocked. Pro tip number 1. Okay, so now that the battery's disconnected, we're just gonna go down here. And for starters, you got this shield. So when you change the oil, this is what you take off anyway. I believe these are 10 millimeter. Yes. So 10 millimeter bolts. Always wear gloves. I'm wearing pink gloves. It's not October, but they fit. So let me pop this off and we'll move on. Alright, protective shield is off. So now you got a better view of what you see from underneath. And no, there's not a whole lot of room, but you know, hey, what did you expect? You know, did you expect to have to see everything? So just kind of a, what's the opposite of bird's eye? Because bird's eye is over the top. So I don't know, snail's eye? What kind of view we talking here? Alright, well, on to the next step. Okay, now that the cover's out of the way, got some WD-40 and some safety glasses, I'm just going to go over and go under and spray all the bolts that I can reach that I know are coming out. Because for obvious reasons, I don't want to fight with them all day, or all night, or all day. Right now it's day. This won't be done before night. So that's the next step. Okay, now that the WD-40 has had a chance to kick in, gonna loosen those bolts there. I unhook the O2 sensor there. And on the driver's side, right there, unhook the O2 sensor. And these 2 bolts right here need to come out. Boom and boom. Then those 2 bolts come out there. So these 2 bolts here, I believe, are 16 millimeter. So without further ado, bingo boingo. Alright, so I just said that I unhooked the O2 sensor, but that was the upper O2 sensor. I looked a little further back and saw this. So I ended up unhooking it from that little connection up there. So I don't know how well you can see this. Try to get you a better visual of it. So upper O2 sensor, which was a pain in the butt from down here, and now I see why. And lower O2 sensor. This side was the lower, so that was correct. So the upper must be somewhere I can't currently see. I wonder if you have to unhook that from up there somewhere. So I don't see the upper one currently. Maybe that's something I may have to unhook from up above. So heads up. Okay, you can probably hear my air compressor in the background, but hopefully you can hear my voice. So got those two off, 16 millimeters or 5/8, either one of those. I used, because I needed a deep socket, so I ended up using a spark plug bolt, so it was 5/8, but in parentheses it did say 16 millimeter, and it did fit perfectly, and broke those pretty easily with my air tools. I used my air gun at first, and that was too powerful, so I switched to my air ratchet, and that seemed to be a little less forgiving, but after I loosened those up, they did come loose a little bit, just a little bit, so it didn't fall all the way off, but it's a start. On to the next step. Next step is to remove these 15 millimeter bolts right here holding the mid pipes on to the X pipe. So those are 15 millimeter. I already sprayed them with WD-40 earlier, so they should be nice and easy to pop off now. So here we go. Well, they're off. There's one over there, and there's one over there. And so next step, I believe it's a 10 millimeter bolts on the heat shields there. And then I did find the other O2 sensor. As you can see, it's inside that stock manifold pipe there. So there's the other side of the other one. So I'm going to go up above and unhook that now, and then I'm going to come back and tackle these heat shields. So the heat shields, I believe those are 10 millimeter bolts right there. And is there more than one? One I can see. So, and only one I can see on this side from underneath. So we'll see what I see over the top once I get that loose. 10 millimeter. Move it on. Okay, on this O2 sensor, that little line that's coming over the top. Ooh, my hand's in the way. Let's see if I can adjust. So this little line right here, I believe, is the O2 sensor. So if I look way up there, I believe it's right here. I wonder if it's been replaced, because it's different than the rest of them. Yeah, I can't do that one-handed, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it out of there and then release it. So, alright, so shields are off. But with the shield, for some reason that first, I don't know what you call it, stud, whatever, came off with the shield. And then same thing on this side. Get you a little light over here. For some reason, you see that first open hole there. For some reason, the first one came off with the shield. So it didn't loosen the bolt on the top of the shield. And here is the shield, and there's the stuck bolt there. So I'll have to, get those loose. Obviously, it shouldn't be a problem. No big deal. But I can tell you so far, the hardest part of this removal process has been getting those effing shields out. They're a pain in the butt. Thank God they are not going back in. Not fighting that battle again. But as you can see, shields are out. Next is to take off the bolts here. I'll do it on the side I got light on. So I believe one's already out, so there's one up top. There might be another right there, I don't know. So I can see 1, 2, there's one up top, so 3. I'm sure there's probably 3 down there as well. And they are hard to get to, but once you pop them loose, they come out pretty easy. So hopefully this will go smooth. That's my next step. I'll be back. Alright, well, I stand corrected. The heat shields are not the hardest part of this job. It is the top 2 middle bolts on the existing manifold. They are less than pleasant. And when I say less than pleasant, I mean less than pleasant. But passenger side, excuse my fingers there, is uno down. Alright, so it's a couple hours later. Not because I've been working on it that long. I had other things I had to take care of real quick, but the top bolts on the driver's side with a long enough extension were super easy. I got both of those out in probably about, I don't know, 10 minutes as opposed to an hour for the other 2. So that should tell you how much easier it is to get to the driver's side ones. I think there's just less space over there because I think the starter's over there and some other crap in the way. So, but oh, sorry, that's in the way. So as you can see, that is loosey-goosey, loosey-goosey. I have to work this thing out. Let's see here. Up, down, around. Oh, there we go. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use 2 hands so this doesn't fall directly on my face. So, basically, driver's side, manifold, out. Well, one of the suggestions before you install the new headers is to clean up the carbon on the heads here, and as you can see, I'm gonna look closer. Oh man, my air compressor just will not stop running. Not too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe things down while I got it open and clean off as best I can. And then next step, reverse all steps. So, good morning. as you can see. Oh, let me turn it this way. No product, whatever. This is why when you start a project like this, you should do it in the garage. If you can't tell, it's raining. So my cardboard, which I cannot pull out because the jack stands are sitting on top of it, they're getting wet, or it's getting wet. So Projecto on holdo. Deuces. Well, one thing I forgot to do. So, as you saw from my last clip, it was raining this morning, so had to put this on hold for a bit, but now I'm back at it. But the steering wheel drive shaft here, that's in order for the headers to go in. This thing's right in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and take this 10 millimeter bolt out and drop. I believe this comes down and out of the way, and that's up high enough to where it's not in the way. So that is what I'm doing right now before installing the headers. So moving on. Okay, well, while I have them out of here, or out of the vehicle, before I throw them in place, you see pipes just laying around. Broken beer bottle, excuse me. Well, while I have it out here, I got some thread lock right there. So I'm going to move the O2 sensors, you know, from here to there. That one's on the bottom down there. You can see it down there. And, oh, wait, this is the one that's going here, and this is the one that's going there. So I'm going to go ahead and install those while it's out and easier to do. Hopefully this is the answer to the top middle header bolts. Okay, welcome back. Had some rain delays, and I've been fighting with tightening the two top middle bolts, both on the driver's side and the passenger side. Not gonna lie, it's a good 6 hours of just fighting with those bolts to make sure I get them in and get them tight. So, many different combinations of extensions and, you know, whatever that one is that does the 90 degree. Somebody can put the name of it in the comments, but between a 1/4 inch or a 1/4 socket set and a 3/8 socket set, I finally got them in, got the right combination, but it was a battle. It was a battle, but as you can see, the headers are in, and they are, I'll do it with this hand, not going anywhere. So of course I used Loctite on each bolt. I ended up on the passenger side over here is the oil dipstick, and I'll show you what I ended up doing. I ended up reusing an old bolt because the new bolts were short, but I ended up reusing the old bolt with a little, let's see if that had a little spacer there. I don't know if you can focus in on that. Oh, there it goes. So yeah, you take the old bolt, you put that in. That was one of the end ones, so it was 13 millimeters, and then had the spot for that 10 millimeter bolt to hold the dipstick in place. So that's how that party happened. That was extremely easy. It was those two middle bolts, like I said, on top. I don't even know if I can show those to you from here. Let's see if you can see them. Man, can't even see them. This is how much of a pain in the ass it is. You got to get the right angle to do anything in this car. Yeah, you can barely see. Man, I can't get it to focus. Just take my word for it. It's up there. So, I gotta hook the steering column back up here. That 10, I believe it's sitting right over here somewhere. I'll find it. But I gotta hook that back up, and then I can install the mids and the extensions for the O2 sensors. So I believe this one's definitely going to need an extension. The driver's side. Passenger side, where's that hook up to? Well, the back one goes there, but the front one is right there. So I think it's definitely going to need an extension. Oh yeah, yeah. So definitely an extension there. I did already purchase those, so no big deal. Didn't know whether I'd have to use them or not, but man, took a while to get to this point, but they're in, and we're moving on to mids. Should be easy sailing from here. Okay, steering column hooked back up, and actually installed the extensions on the front O2 sensors. So you see it there. Connects up back up in there. See if I can get you a close up. So connects up right there. What I'll do is I'll zip tie those once I get the other two set up, because this is going to be the rear one for the mids. And on the passenger side, oh, plenty of room, plenty of room. Cable goes up in there, not enough light to see where it goes, but it's just above that thing there, and then it comes down here and connects up in there. And I'll zip tie that one to this guy up here, because this is where, if you can see the white behind there, that's where the rear one's going to connect anyway. So I'll zip tie those two together so they're up off of the exhaust and away from it. Don't want those melting. So moving on. Okay, so there's the mids getting ready to go in. First things first, we're gonna take the O2 sensor out of this one, passenger side, throw it in this one, passenger side, labeled with a P for passenger side, and then over here labeled with a D for driver's side, taking that, putting it in there. So obviously we're going to use some Loctite, and I already sprayed those with like PB Blaster or something to loosen up those bolts. So I believe those are, I want to say 18 millimeter. So as I look around for my wrench that I cannot find. Now, where did I put that stupid wrench? Okay. It's in my pocket. Alright, 22 millimeters for the O2 sensor. 22. 22. Alright, so this is always something. Where my mids are supposed to connect, they look like factory clamps, so I don't know why they're different, but they appear to be welded on. And with the new ones, the new mids, they go over the top, so the clamps obviously have to come off of there. But I don't want to damage them too much. As you can see, I tried to pull that off and got that little bent. Not too bad, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the X pipe here. I'm going to take that clamp down from the mid muffler delete, or unhook those from the mid muffler delete, pull this out, take those off if I have to use a sawzall to remove those clamps. As long as the top's not too messed up, I should be good to go, especially since the mid pipes, they slide over the top of where you see those brackets right there. So just another fork in the road. You know what they say, when in doubt, take it out. Say bye-bye. I've run into issue after issue. I think every clamp, every connector on this thing is not stock because it never fits the way it's supposed to. Okay. We're in. There's the mid. It gets a little scary back there, but so a few issues, definitely with clamps for the exhaust. So I gotta figure out what to do there, but I did end up zip tying. This one I fed up through. Oh, let me step away. Up behind here. Over here, and then zip tied it there. So that's the rear one. The front one is right there, so that's also zip tied in the same spot. And then on the other side, you can see the long cord there. Goes back under here, over to here. So there's a connector back behind there, and then the extension goes. You can see the extension there. And I zip tied it way up top there. So they're zip tied together again. So it's not going to fall down and hit the exhaust at all, so we should be good there. My connectors right here. I think these are 3-inch pipes, and I think these are smaller than 2 7/8 that originally were on here. So I fought getting those clamps off, and probably could have left the clamp on and just connected over top of the clamp. There's so much space in there, so I got to figure something out here. But for right now, this project is done. So let's hook up the battery, get all this crap from underneath and give her a start. Well, 4 days of project. Of course, there was a rain issue, so I lost a day and a half, maybe a little more, but quite a few different issues going on. She's dirty. She sat out in the rain for like a day and a half, thunderstorm actually. So, but here we go. Gonna give her a start. Exhaust leak. All right, gotta fix those clamps. I can hear it. So till tomorrow. Clamps got to be fixed first. Just straight exhaust leak, but sounds like a beast coming out of that those headers though. So to be continued. Alright, so I just left the shop. Basically just had them put in new clamps, and that was from the min muffler delete. When I was moving stuff around to get the headers installed, I had to disconnect that X pipe, and once I disconnected that X pipe, it fought me hard to get back on. And plus the connector for, you know, the kit through BBK, the clamps for right after the cats, right after the cats, the clamp itself wasn't very strong. So basically, so I already have a tune. Running the 93 octane and then the trans tune through Hemi Fever with the i3 from Diablo. So I had Hemi Fever already send me, I believe his name's Sean, already send me the actual tune adjustment for the long tube headers to go with my current tune. So I have not added the tune as of yet. Man. Just got a constant I'm gonna have to get used to it. It's a different sound. It's definitely a different sound. So needless to say, you heard it getting on the highway. It sounds pretty mean and aggressive. So just what I'm looking for. And I think once I get that tune, the high end's gonna sound, well, not sound, the high end's gonna work in my favor with the long tubes. So we're already putting out a lot of power for this 5.7. The other day I raced a SRT8. It was a 300, but man, I just got him off the line and he never caught back up. So of course I think he was running 245s, and I got 315s in the back. So he was like, oh man, I'm running 500 horse, and or 505 or whatever he said, but it was over 500, and I was like, I'm not even close to that. But yeah, I just left you. So yeah, he never caught back up. So I'm gonna end the video here. I'll probably do a little follow-up once I throw the tune for the long tubes in. I'll do a little follow-up then. Here, let me drop this thing in sport mode. Let's hear this thing take off. We're wide open. But Sea Dog out, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. But man, much more of an aggressive sound. So just out for a cruise. Went ahead and threw on my Hemi Fever tune for the long tubes, running the Diablo 93 octane, and then the Hemi Fever trans tune, and now one with long tubes. And I mean, I'm doing 70. And I step on the gas and I actually feel it kick me forward, like almost like boost. I am not kidding. See if you guys